All right. I don't have an endpoint. Yes, I'm recording. I just started now. I don't have an endpoint that will find all users, so I can show you paginations. So I will try and write an endpoint. Now this is I will pass this stage. What I'm doing now, we're supposed to be using MVC for this project, so we've passed this stage. But I'm just trying to demo something. That is why I'm doing it like this. To find all users, I will make it async. What do I want to do? I want to say const users is equal to await users. Do I have users.find? And then return a response or status. And also I'm supposed to use try catch, but like I said, you've already passed this stage. I'm not teaching you that one. Just bear with me. The intention wasn't to teach today, but there is a question that needs to be answered. So this is a simple endpoint that would find all the users on the database and return all of them. Now, this is a scenario where pagination comes in. Now, if you are looking for just one, you will not be paginating. Now, if you are looking for more than one, then you will paginate. I don't know a website. Let me just find any website that uses pagination so that I can demo that. Let's see, which website would I use now? Niger Loaded. Let me see if Niger Loaded uses pagination. Now, it may not be full stack, but I just want to demo what pagination is. Are you kidding me? Is it down? Which other site? None can come to the top of my head now. Is there any site that this? I don't know if my network is the reason why this is down, but let's see Niger vibes. Yes, this is pagination. What pagination means is, let's say, for example, you are trying to find all users, which is what we're trying to do here, and the number of users exceed 10, exceed 5. They are like 200 users, 300 users, 400 users. Now, it's not just for users. It can be for products. 400 products, 5,000 products, the same way on Conga and so on and so forth. It can be for anything. So let's assume what you are trying to find exceed maybe 10 or 5 or 20. There are 20, 50, and so on and so forth. Now, you will not want to show all of them at the same time. If you look at this here, I'm very sure that this Niger vibes has more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So actually they are showing 19 blog posts at a time. They are showing 19 blog posts at a time. Now, it mustn't be 19. It can be 10 at a time. It can be 5 at a time. But that's on the front end. The front end will decide, okay, we are showing just 5 at a time. We're showing 10 at a time. We're showing 20 at a time. That is paginations. So it means that they want to show 10 users or 10 products the first time. Then if the person clicks on next or clicks on number 2, they show a different 10 again. Then if the person clicks on 3, they show a different 10. So that is pagination. The first time, you're not sending the whole product. You send the first 10. The second time, you send the next 10, different from the first 10 you have sent. Then the next phase, you send the third set of 10, which is different from the first 20 you have sent. So now, that is the idea of pagination. So in pagination, there is something called page. Page means what I said now, the first time, the second time, the third time. So that is 3 pages. That is what we call it. Page. The first time is the page 1. The second time is the page 2. The third time is the page 3. So the number of times a users want to get details is what we refer to as page. The page is not the website page per se, but the page is the number of times you are going to be sending them something. So if they say page 1 means the first time, so send them the first 10. Page 2 means the second time, send them the next 10 after the first 10. Page 3 means send us the next 10 after the first 20. So that is what page means. And so there's something called limit. Limit means the number of items you are sending. So if you are sending 10, that means the limit is 10. That's what limit is, 10. So there is something called 10. Now, if we want to go by that, let's just test this. So in paginations, you understand what pagination means. So this is page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. As the person keeps clicking on next, it will be sending new pages, new pages, new pages, and new pages. So, but let's test out this endpoint. I wasn't having intention of teaching, but again, you never can tell. And I'm using yarn. Why? npm run dev. Okay, MongoDB, did it connect? Yeah, MongoDB connected. I'll go to Postman. Sorry, if you have any questions, still go ahead and ask, but I will try and cover all your questions, especially this pagination is very, very important. It is. So U drive I have here. This is, let me see what it is first. Zoom in. The endpoint is 8081. And this is called user. So send this request. It crashed because res is not defined. Yeah, I know that I was rushing that function. So this is supposed to be rec and res. And save it. MongoDB connect. It's connected. So I'll send again. So here, if I close this, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what? Let's just count it. We're going to count it. By counting it, I mean, how do I do? I'll put this one here. Then bring this one here. And I want to believe you can see my screen. Minimize this. So let's just count it. What I'll do is send me the count. And let the count be users.length. Users.length. And save it. So if I send, I have 17. So I am sending 17 items. Ideally, in some environment, the front-end developer will ask you to do the pagination. Sometimes you too, you don't want to do it. You allow the front-end to do the paginations. So it's not compulsory that you must be the one to do it. But, if you know it, you know it. Now, one reason why somebody will not do it is because they don't know it. Because if you know it, you will do it. So that's what I'm teaching you in case you come across where a front-end developer is asking you to do paginations. You are not expected to send 17 at the same time. You should be sending maybe 5 or 10. or maybe any number you want, like that. So that is what pagination is. And the way I do it professionally, how I do it is I will come to a new file. I will create a new file and call it utilities. Utilities are just random functions that I use to do anything I want. Random functions. So I will just create a random function and I will call it pagination. Const pagination is equal to a random function. So as a random function, what do I want it to do? Normally, I will accept the request. Normally, the reason why I'm accepting the request is the front end is supposed to tell me which page number I should send. Because here now, in this website, these pages are different pages. So the front end is supposed to tell me this is page 1, send for page 1, or send for page 2, or send for page 3. So that will be coming in the request. Secondly, the front end is supposed to tell me the limit, how many I should be sending per time, not per time, as I say, as at once, like that. So I'm expecting the page and the limit. So what I will do is say const the page will be coming from the request dot query. You know what? I can actually destructure. Let me just destructure. So I want to take the page and the limit from the query. I know I've not explained query, but query is a different part of the request and you don't have to bother about it. Query is anytime you see question mark, anything that comes after it is the query. So normally you know that our IDs are going to follow /, but sometimes some URL addresses you will see question mark. So whenever you see question mark, this is where the end point ends. Any other thing that comes after the question mark is the query. So you're making a request, you can add a query if you want. You might choose to add it as a body. So this thing I'm accepting in the query, it can be sent in the body. It can also be sent in the params. But ideally, a developer that's like, you may jam a senior developer, they'll be sending it as the query. A lot of persons send it as query. I want to believe you know what page is and you know what limit is. So we're getting that from the query. So what we want to do is say the limit, my limit, if I go this way, I will not destructure because I don't want to declare the variable twice. I want to declare it once. So I will not destructure. I want to do the professional way I would do it. I'll say the page is coming from the request.query.page. So get me the page in that place. And the same thing for the limit. My limit should be whatever limit that the front-end developer added to the query. This is it. So what I want to do is, sometimes they may send you this. Sometimes they may not send it. So what you can do is say, if they send it, use it. If they don't send it, use 1 as the page. You can also say here, if they send you a limit, use it. But if they don't send you any limit, use 10. 10 means you are sending 10. You can also change this to 5. So what we are saying is use the page that is in the query of the request. But if there is none, use 1. Send for page 1. Use the limit that is in the query of the request. But if there is none, then send only 5 at that time. Send only 5. Now, this is going to work the first time. You are going to send 5 the first time. But the second time, how will your database know that you have sent the first 5? Send the next, skip 5 and send the next 5. How will your database know again that you've sent the first 10, skip that 10 and send the next one? So that is where the idea of skip comes in. The number of items you should skip every single time. And the math here is the limit times, where is my multiplication, times whatever the page is minus 1. So this is a simple math, and I will explain. If your limit is 5 and your page is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. Abi? And then the limit here, which is 5, times 0 is 0. So are you skipping anyone? No. Now, if your limit is 5, and now you are on page 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. So you are skipping how many? 5. If your limit is 5 and you are already on page 3, 3 minus 1 is 2. 5 times 2 is 10. So you are skipping how many? 10. If you're on page 4, which is here, 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 times the limit, which is 5, is 15. So you are skipping how many? 15. So this is how you tell your backend how many items to skip. So what you do, you just return it. Now this is how I do it professionally. You return the page to use, you return the limit to use, and you return the skip too. Like that. So do we have, and I will need to export this, do we have any question on this? I know I've tried to explain it, but ask your question. Do we have modules.export is equal to ask question? Ask question. Do you understand what these things are? What the page is? What the limit is? Ask questions. Nobody's asking anything. Really? So, was this before or after? I think this is after. All right, this is my paginations. I'm not destructuring again. This is how I do my pagination. I will create a function that will accept the request. The reason why I'm accepting the request is because the front end will send me some information in the request query. So the first information they will send is the page number, like we see here. It should be telling me whether I am sending for page 1, or I am sending for page 2, or I am sending for page 3, or I'm sending for page 4, like that. So it will send that one. Now it will also now it doesn't really matter the page they want to return to. Any number they send you here. Now if they were on page 10 and they send you page 1, the backend will automatically return to page 1. But if they don't send page, the backend will fall back to page 1. So that is how it's programmed. This double pipe here means or, and I want to believe you know that. So we are using the page that is sent to us in the query, or we use page 1. we are using the limit they send us in the query, or we use 5 as our limit. So limit means the number of items you are sending per page. That's what the limit is. The number of items you are sending per page. So now the skip here is when you send the first 5 and the user said they want to see more, how will your backend or your database know that the user have seen the first 5? Or maybe the user have seen the first 10, or maybe the user have seen the first 15. So you tell the backend or the database the number of items to skip. So if the user is seeing for the first time, of course, the database will not need to skip anything. If the user have seen the first 5, the second time the database needs to skip the first 5. If they have seen the first 5 and they've seen the second 5, then the database needs to skip 10. So that is where the idea of skip comes in. The number of items to skip every single time, so that you don't return the same item twice. So you tell the database how many items to skip. And this is the formula I use. The limit times what the page is and 1. So let's say it is on page 1, the first time, page 1. Now 1 minus 1 is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. That means the database is not skipping anything. It's 0. Now let's say it is second time. The page now is page 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. So the database is expected to skip 5 items for page 2. So if you skip the first 5, then you show the next 5. Now if it's on page 3, 3 minus 1 is 2. 5 times 2 is 10. So the database needs to skip 10 items if the user is on page 3. The same thing for page 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. 5 times 3 is 15. The database needs to skip 15 items and return the next ones. Like that. So that is the idea between page, the limit, and the number of items to skip. So this is how I use it. Now, how do I use it? I will come to my post, which is here, and say const, because I exported them as destructured, I will bring in pagination. Pagination here is the function I created from utilities. Now, inside this pagination, I am returning the page, the limit, and the skip. So that is what I want to accept here: the page, the limit, and the number of items to skip. So what do I want to do? I will tell it here, dot limit it to whatever number is inside the limit. Whatever number is inside the limit, limit it to that. Skip whatever number is inside the skip. So this is how it is done. You tell the database when you find the whole users, when you find all the items, limit it to the number of items that is inside this limit. If they say limit it to 5, then you limit it to 5. If they say skip, so you can add your numbers here manually, but this means it will be skipping 5 every single time. Even if the backend says skip 10, even if the front end says skip 10, you will not know. If the front end say limit it to 7, you will not know, because you have hard coded 5. No matter what, it will limit it to 5 and it will always skip 10. It doesn't matter what page you return or anything. So, but since you want to be dynamic, You say whatever number is inside the limit, limit it to that number. Whatever number is inside the skip, skip it to that number. So we want to try this out and see whether we can limit it. And the first time, we're not going to send any query. We're not sending any query. The reason is because in our function, if we don't send a page number, by default, the page will be 1. If you don't send a limit, by default, it will limit it to 5. So we want to see if the default is actually working. So if I send this request, it's not working. And that is because, I don't know, let me see. Paginations dot find count. We'll try again and send. But this time I want to return what the limit is and what the page is. Let me start with the page. Let me see whether I got the page and I got the limits. So I'll save this and hope I'm actually calling the right endpoint, this endpoint. Then send this request. So you see that I'm not getting the limit. That is because I am not passing in the request. You know, here, this function expects the request. It expects the request. So when I call this function here, I'm not passing in the request. Sorry, not that, just the request. So I'll save it this time and try again. Let me see that database is connected and then send. So now it is returning 5 and the page is 5. So we don't have to return the limit. We'll just return the count and the page. So it's returning 5. It's still returning 5. And it's not skipping the page. The reason is because if you don't tell it the page, automatically it will use page 1. It will use page 1. I don't know if anybody can hear me, but if you can hear me, please drop a thumbs up so that I know I'm not the only one in this class. If you can hear me, please drop a thumbs up so that I know I'm not the only one in this class. Are we together? Please drop a thumbs up. All right. So pagination is a key thing when you are building your backend. Some persons may require it, some may not, but it's good you know it. So if you don't add page, it's going to keep returning page 1 and 5 items, because in our code, we said if there is no page number, use 1. If there is no number of items to limit it to, then use 10. So this is what I would do. I will add my question mark, because you know, after the question mark, anything that comes next is the query. You don't call the pagination API. Now, the pagination is not an API. The pagination is used in so many of your APIs, especially the ones where you are returning more than 1 items. That is why you use paginations. So I in my project, I create pagination as a separate function instead of doing this thing inside all of the APIs. I create it as a separate function, then come inside all my APIs and import pagination, then take the page, the skip. I will do this line for all of my APIs that is returning more than 1 items. So that is how I call pagination inside any API that is returning more than 1 item. So what I will do is, like I said, after the question mark, anything else is the query. So I will say limit it to 10. Let the limit be 10. So if I send this request, now you see it is the count is returning the count of 10. And I'll say let the limit be 10 and the page number be 2 or maybe 1, anyone. So here now the page number is 1. I typed it mistakenly. So if I send it, it returns 10 items and the page number is 1. And actually, page is being returned as a string. Now, because it's returned as a string, it will not be able to skip anything. You know, we are using it here to do mathematics. So since we are using it here to do mathematics, we need to change it to number. So I will convert this to number. Let it be a number. I don't want it to be a string because you can't use strings to do mathematics. I will convert it to be numbers. So whatever is sent to me, if it's sent as a string, convert it to number. If it's sent as a string, convert it to number. So if I send again, now page is a number. Now if I say send for page 2, it is still going to send 10 items. But now the page number is 2 and the whole items is now returning to 7, meaning it's not up to 10 again because the total items are 17. So if you send the first 10, the second time you are sending, it will not be up to 10. That is why we said 17. To prove that, what I will do is I'll remove the limit and I'll comment it out so that the two of them will not be used, and then send this thing again. You see, it returns a total of 17 items. And even though we're on page 2, it's not using this page. If you look at it here, it's not using it. It's not. This is just fetching all of them. We're not using the limit. We're not using the skip. So what I can do is say, since it's returning 17, if I add them back and save and say send for page 1, now it's a total of 17. Send me 10 items first for page 1. If I send it, you see it's sending 10. And if I say send for page 2 will not be up to 10 because it's a total of 17. So ladies and gentlemen, that is pagination. That is what we call pagination. The last one is called sort. Yeah, I think the question was, where is it again? The question was sorting and pagination. So sorting means arrangement. Arrangement. Do you want me to arrange them in alphabetical order or descending order or ascending order? Whatever order. But the simplest way or the most common sorting we do is this. You put sort like this, and then you put whatever key you want to sort it by. Whatever key you want to sort it by. But the most common thing we do is like this. Created at minus created at. This is the most common one we use. So when you hear sorted on the back end, return them when they are sorted. This is the most common one we use. Minus created at. Minus created at is send me the last one first. So what I will do is I will remove this one. Let's see which one comes first and which one comes last. So if I send this request, it's hanging. I have 17 items. The first one here is David. Let me see. The second one, will it be David? The second one is still David. There is no way to know. There is no way we can actually tell which one came first. But what this sorted at will do is that the last one, it will sort it based on the last one. So the one you created now will come first. The one you created yesterday will come second. The one you created last week will come third. The one you created last month will come last. So that is what minus created at means. You are sorting them based on the date of creation, the date they were created, starting with the last one. That's what it means. This that right or back. If you screen drop down in this drop why like all right. If you can hear my voice and you can see my screen, please drop a thumbs up. If you can hear my voice, okay, my screen is off. Let me share my screen again. If you can hear my voice, you can see my screen, please drop a thumbs up. We're almost done so that we move on to what we have for today. If you can hear my voice and you can see my screen, is it before or after? This is it before or after? Is this before or after? Let me stop sharing again and I will share now. So if you can hear my voice and you can see my screen, please drop a thumbs up. We are almost done so that we can just move on to what we have for today. All right. Anybody else? You can hear my voice and you can see my screen. Hopefully. All right. So that we don't waste much of our time, I'll just show you how I sort. And I sort with this created at and then -1. So this is how I sort. Now it is the same thing as sorting. Okay. Sorry, I think this is network. Let me confirm that I'm actually recording. Yeah. So there is nothing much we've done. We just created a function for pagination. And I just, for most times, I don't need to rewrite this. I just copy it and paste it in any project I'm working on because I don't need to begin to write it from scratch again. I just copy it and put it in my project and then come back here and import all of these things and use them. That is how I paginate. Okay. Really, nobody can hear me? Are you sure that nobody can hear? Or is this still breaking?
Just regained access now.
Okay, 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 okay. All right. I was just saying that is nothing much we did. And you don't even have to cram what we have done today. You don't have to cram it. Because even me, I don't cram it. I just come to any project I'm building. I copy this pagination. I just copy it and paste it in the project I'm building and then import these things automatically and use them. So I don't try to write these things from scratch. Since I've written it and it's working, I just copy it, import it to any project I'm working on because it's the same thing. This is just the normal pagination we do. And this is how we sort. This is how I sort. Some people sort with what I just showed you, created at, minus created at means send it in the reverse order, start with the last one. That's what the minus means. Start with the last one. Without the minus, it means start with the first one that was created. But I sort this way. I add created at and then put -1. Now, it's still the same thing. It's still the same thing, but I just use this format. I bring it into my project. I don't need to cram. I just put it into my project. So this is what pagination and sorting is all about. So the most common sorting you will do is sorting it by the last created. The last created. Unless they say don't send us the last one first, then you can send the first come first serve basis. So the first person that's created, you return that one first. It depends. It just depends like that. So this is what pagination is. Now, without wasting much of your time, we can go over to what we have for today, which is the portfolio. Now, portfolio is very, very important. You need it. And as we round up, you should have a portfolio. Now, this function, I don't think I have to. Do I have to upload this to GitHub because of this function? Or I will just share it here. Wait. What's this? I'll just share this here. Do I need to push this to GitHub? To GitHub. All right, I'll do that. Let's go to GitHub then. Yeah. So on GitHub, I have 3 portfolios that I created. You might want to choose any one from them. I've deleted that out, so that's why I'm creating the. Do I still have it? Let me see. Maybe I still have it. I thought I deleted all of them. Repositories, cohort 2 auth. Okay, I have the auth here. So what I would do is just push to it then. I was thinking I've deleted it. Git add dot, git commit, git push masters. All right, so I've been able to, if I refresh this, I'll see that, yeah, the auth is the first one. Yeah, so this is the GitHub. All right. And like I was saying, I have 3 proposals or 3 portfolios. Portfolio 1, portfolio 2, and portfolio 3. I will copy the links and show you. I will also open them so that you see what they look like, and then you know which one you want to clone. You clone one of them and you use them. It's very important that you have a portfolio. You may use the portfolio, you may not use the portfolio, doesn't really matter, but at least you have a portfolio in case asked to bring the portfolio. So will open the first one. First portfolio, I have it here already. I've opened it. So I have it there. I'll just open the portfolio with VS Code. I think just open VS Code be better. Portfolio 1. Yeah. So this is portfolio 1. If you look at it, it has only 2 files, the index 1 and the dark mode. That means that yeah, network. I know it was the company. Here, me see, yeah, you and then is I this person doesn't know how to say. All right, sorry for the bad network. Sorry. Bad net. We are not learning anything new on the back end. No, we're not. We're not learning anything new on the back end. Apart from that question, which you can always Google it from anywhere, but a lot of persons do their paginations in different ways and it can be confusing too. But I have a simple way I do my own pagination and I've been using it since then. So back to the portfolio, I've opened the first one. This is portfolio 1. That is why it's number 1. The assets, that is the images, the CSS, the styles, and the 2 pages. It only has 2 pages. First one is the dark theme. That is why it says index dark. And the second one here is the light theme. It says index.html. This is the light theme. So there is a lot here, but if you know HTML, it will not be difficult. You can always come in here and change whatever changes you want to make. If it's the logo you want to change, you just change it. This is an image tag. And I want to believe we went through HTML too. You can change the image tag. Now here is the navigations. If you want to change the navigations, they are here. And let's talk whatever it is. And where is the user's name? So this is the user's web developer, professional coder. And hi, my name is Dalton Grant. You can change this. Now the reason why I'm showing you this is to give those persons who are having network issues to see they can connect. But I'm going to open it so that you see how the portfolio looks like. I like the portfolios, and that is why I am sharing them to you. I'm just showing you that they are all HTML. You don't need to write any JavaScript. It's just come and change the informations you want to change. If you also want to change colors, you can. With the CSS here, you can change the colors. So to see how it look like, I think I will open this with live server. Open with live server, and that should open up on my browser, which is here. So the portfolio is loading. And this is how the first portfolio looks like. You can change this image. You can, of course, this is web developer, whatever you want to call it. It might be about maybe backend engineer will be better, or maybe backend developer, backend engineer, backend developer, backend whatever. You can change that. You write your description here. Now it's a one-page website, meaning if I click on services, it takes me to services section. Services means the things you can do, like that. Then if I go to portfolio, it takes me to portfolio. Now these names mustn't be what you will use. You can use different sections to show whatever you want. The sections you don't need, you can hide it. You can hide it. So portfolio is here, your recent work. You can write, will I say, the name of the project you've worked on, and then what category they fall under. Is it web? Is it coding? Just put a category and send. It doesn't do much, and it doesn't go anywhere. It has project details, but it doesn't go anywhere. You don't need that. So just put the project you've worked on, and here is your expertise. So you just get the logos of whatever things you know how to work with. Now, it doesn't have to be these things. You can put the technologies you know how to use: Mongoose, MongoDB, what's the other one? Bcrypt, Node.js, Express. Any logo you want, you just put them here. You put the name under. Just anything you know how to use. And resume, here you can add the project you've worked on. Just describe the project, what you used to build the project, the classwork you did, just every single thing you have done. Don't skip anyone. Now, you might say it's not relevant. It's not relevant, but it's actually relevant. It doesn't matter how small it is. Put all of them here. From the beginning, where I started with the HTML and stuff to the JavaScript. If you can remember them, that's fine. But if you can't, you add the ones you can remember. And pricing, there's not much about pricing. I don't think you need this section, but if you want to, you can add pricing. If you want to do backend development, freelancing, you want to do backend development on site, you want to do backend development remotely, but I don't think you need them. But if you want to, you can. And then finally, the contact page. Now, here is the contact page. What you can do is you write an endpoint that just takes this detail. You don't save them anywhere. Just take them and send them to your email. Immediately they come here. It will send direct to your email, like that. And that actually means you're a full stack developer. If you can customize this front page and build an API that will accept name, email, phone number, and this, and send it to your inbox, you're already a full stack developer, like that. And this is the touch that will submit it. And any page you don't need, you comment it out. And this also has dark mode. Of course, I showed you, yeah, it has dark mode. The two of them are here, depending on which one you want to customize. This is the dark, this is the light. So you just choose the one you want to customize. The dark is the same thing. And even though the design is the same, by the time all of you add your different images, the design will be different. It will not be the same again. So you will not say, oh, 2 persons are already using this one. Oh, 10 persons are already using this. As a matter of fact, I wanted to extend this to the front end developer guys, but I wasn't able to. So I just stopped here. I don't think our class was supposed to be like combined, but it was not. So it doesn't mean that 10 persons are using it, I cannot use it. No. You can also link it to your social links and so on and so forth. But it's practically the same thing as the, what is it called? And as a matter of fact, I like this one much. That's why I named it number 1, because I like this one more. Okay, I didn't get the logos are not added here. The logos are not added here. But again, you do whatever you want to, because here I don't even think you need partners. Maybe you want to add your work experience, the people you've worked with. Yeah, you can add their logos here. The people you have worked with, something like that. You can add them here. So this is for the first portfolio. And like I said, it's already on GitHub. So this is number 1. If you click it, it's number 1. The next one is this one, number 2. Number 2 also is dark and light mode, but together in one file. So it means you are using, you're going to be using one file, but it's going to be switchable. You can switch it from, and it's the same HTML. There is nothing special, and you're not writing new HTML except you want to. You are not writing new CSS except you want to. You're not writing new JavaScript except you want to. So you just look for informations you want to change where they are and change the informations. That is all. So if I open this with live server here, I have it. So this one is a simple one. It's just like landing pages. And my name, I am Steven, blah, blah, blah. So if you click on about me, it brings up here and you can close it. So it toggles dark and light mode on the same file. So you can add your pictures, toggle it dark and light. And it also has my portfolio, which shows a list of what you've worked on. If you want to add them, you can add them. And does it have details? It has the details, just short details about what you've worked on, like that. And you can go back. You can also go forward, go back, go back. So like I said, it's dark and light mode in the same file. We're going to come to the part where you send them to recruiters. You can also change the information. So the final one, which is the third one, I will want to show the number 3 here. So number 3, I forgot how this number 3 looks like, but let me see. All right, number 3 is just dark theme. I don't think it has like, yeah, just dark theme. You can change and it's also, yeah, okay, it's more than 1 pages. It has different pages on the same screen. So you can change how it looks like, but it's only dark theme. And in all of them, there is a place where you can add a link to your CV. This link is actually uploaded. You can upload it directly in the file and add it there. But if you want to, you can use an external link to import it. So you just change the images if you want and use them however you want. So that is the portfolios, but we are going to try and host one of them, because before you are able to send it to anybody, you need to host it. The same way you hosted your backend. Of course, you will host your backend. You will host it on Render and share the link. So the same way you are hosting your backend, that's the same way we host the front end. The first step is to push this code to GitHub. I already have it on GitHub. So that is the first step to deploying. You push it to GitHub. And if I open portfolio, I have portfolios 1, 2, and 3. So I will try and deploy portfolio 1. And there are so many places you can deploy. There is Netlify. There is Netlify. Netlify is free. There is Vercel. Vercel is also free. I use both of them for testing. You can use them also. They are not just for testing. You can also deploy there forever and ever. Just buy a domain name and hook it up. That's all. You don't need to pay for hosting. You just domain name and deploy. Now you deploy the same way for the two of them. It's just the same way. So I will deploy on Vercel. To deploy on Vercel, you need to create an account. All you need is just sign in with your GitHub account. You don't need to type in your name, email, password, phone number. No, just sign in the same way. Here, once you come to login, it asks you to log in with Google account, so on and so forth. So you're logging in with your GitHub account. The two of them, you can do the same thing for the two of them. Log in with your GitHub account and also give it access to your GitHub repos. They're not going to hack you. They're not going to steal from you. So just log in, give it access, because you may not know whether you want to deploy more and more pages. So you need to give it access. Now, these are a few files I've been able to deploy on this Vercel account. I have some on Netlify too, but I like using Vercel because Vercel, I feel Vercel is a little bit, would I say, advanced like that. Not advanced per se, like the name it carries weight small, Vercel. So to deploy, when you create an account and you give it access, it will bring you to your dashboard. The reason why you are seeing all this thing on my own is because I have deployed. For you, it's going to be empty. This place is going to be empty. You just see this button to add new, but this is where it will bring you to. Yeah, you can also use render. I forgot to mention. There are so many of them you can use. So many of them, but mostly when I want to deploy backend, I go to render. When I want to deploy front end, I go to Vercel. Now that is for test, though. I want to test. But if the client is paying for it or the company is paying for it, then we'll buy any hosting. We can buy render. Yeah, we'll buy render, or we buy Heroku. Or we go ahead and buy DigitalOcean or any other cloud storage that the client is comfortable with. We use them. But I don't usually use render for front-end pages. I use it for back-end applications. So like I said, here you click on add new. That is all you need to do. Add new project. So when you click on add new project, it will open here. If you have not given it access, here it will ask you for access. But if you have given it access, then you will see your repositories here that it has access to. So I will just search for portfolio inside my. So this is portfolio 3, portfolio 2, portfolio 1. I want to import portfolio 1 because that is the one I want to deploy. So I will click on import here. The same thing with render. You just change the name if you want. I will just keep it at portfolio. Change the name. You don't need to do anything else. Once for this particular project, because it is HTML, you don't need to specify anything else. What you need is, if you want to change the name, you change the name. But mostly change the name to your name, to whatever your name is, because it is going to use this name to create a URL. And it is good that in the URL, your name is in the URL, except you want to buy a domain name. You want to buy a customized domain name like www.davidsamson.com. That is a customized URL. But if you deploy on Vercel, Vercel is going to use this name to create a domain name for you for free. And it will sound something like davidsamson.vercel.app. That's what Vercel does. So Vercel also adds their name to your domain name. So just change the name, and that is all. You don't need to do anything else. Let me make this small letter, but you don't have to be small letter. It can also be capital letter like that. So you don't need to do anything, and then just go ahead and click on deploy. That is all. So any question before I click on deploy? Any question before I click on deploy? If you have a domain name, you will come to Vercel and add that domain name, and then copy the name servers on domain Vercel and go and paste it where you bought the domain name, so that the two of them will recognize each other. I might show you that, but it's not easy. It's not difficult. Go to settings. Once you go to settings, if you deploy this project, you go to settings and you see domain. Copy that your domain name, put it there. You will see the Vercel name there. Copy the Vercel name, go to your domain name and paste it there. Domain registry and paste it there. That is all. That's all you need to do. So you are telling Vercel that points to this domain name, and you are telling your domain registry, give Vercel access to the domain name. That is just what it's doing. So if I click on deploy, it will start deploying the project, and the project will become live, and anybody can see it. So how do you share it with clients or recruiters or anybody? If you're applying for jobs, in your resume, on LinkedIn, you just add the link there. That is all. You can send it to them. So if I continue to dashboard, now you see that it created a domain name. Now I created two domain names actually, this and this. But this is the main domain, davidsamson.vercel.app. If I click on it, it will open here. And also I can share the domain link with you also. You can see it and update it. That is all. There is nothing to be done. Okay, so it has deployed. It's going to try and render the HTML pages. So it has rendered the pages now. And this is live. https://davidsamson.vercel.app. This is live. And I deployed the two of them. That is why I can switch from dark mode. Okay, I deployed one. Okay, I think I deployed the two. Yeah, I deployed the two of them. If you want, you can use the two of them. But I think here, better to use one, because you don't want, maybe you want the users to do this, maybe you don't want, but just use one any which way. So this is live and it has been deployed. So this is how to deploy your portfolio. You change the images, you change the name, and that is all. You don't need to do much work. So, ladies and gentlemen, any question? And also, for those who have not submitted the second phase of their project, please do so. I will start reviewing them from tomorrow, so that we can actually round up next week. Next week, no more project. I think this is our last class, except there will be a question for me. Then we'll host another class tomorrow. But if there is no question, no concern, nothing, I don't actually have anything to teach you. So that means there will be no class tomorrow. But if there is, please prompt me early, then we can fix a class for tomorrow. So any question? I don't have to deploy all of them. Yes. You have the code. You have, I'm looking for, you have the code. All you need to do is go back to your code. For example, now, let me do something. The name here is I am Dante. I want to change this name to my own name. I want to change it to my own name. So what I will do is I will come to, now like I said, there are two of them. You don't want to edit the two of them. So I'm working on the dark theme. I want to change it on the dark theme. So I will go to the dark theme and look for the name. Yeah, this is Dante Grant. So I'll save it to, I'll change it to David Samson and save. So what I need to do is push this project again to GitHub. If I push to GitHub, Vercel is going to it says okay. I didn't push. It's not this one that I pushed to GitHub. I've already pushed to GitHub before I got this one on my system. I use a different system to push to GitHub. So it's not this particular folder that I'm trying to push now. So this one will not push. But editing it like that and pushing to GitHub is all I need to do. GitHub is just, Vercel is just going to pick it up and adjust it. But what I will do is I will come to GitHub directly and change it on GitHub directly. So I'll click on the pen button and look for that name here so that I can edit it here directly. So this is the name. I'll change it to David Sampson. But you'll be doing this in your VS Code and push back to GitHub. That is all. So I'll click on commit changes and then commit changes. So it has saved. Vercel is going to pick it up automatically. So I will refresh my Vercel. It hasn't picked it up. I will refresh again. It hasn't picked it up. I hope the place I changed it is actually the place it's supposed to be. Let me see if I change it on the version light. Okay, it's not. So I'll check the version dark again. Yeah, okay, where I changed it is not exactly where I wanted to change it. It changed here, David Sampson, it changed here, but not. Let me change this big one. Let me look for it. It's going to be, I want to look for that big one. I am Dante. So this is here. I'll change this to I am David. Oh, I need to click the pen button first and look for it again. Which is here. David. And commit changes. Save. Yes. Just like the CI/CD. Exactly. Just like the CI/CD. So where was I? Where was I? I was here. So I'll refresh. Yeah, now it has changed. CI/CD. All right. So how I got my first job. The funny thing is I don't even remember which one was my first job. I can't really remember because when I started development, what I did was then I was in Gombe, and after my friend, I learned from my friend. My friend got a job to move to Germany, and while I was still in Gombe, what I did was I gave my friends tomorrow morning to submit the second phase. All right, tomorrow morning, then submit it by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is Sunday, so submit by Sunday morning. So I gave my friends open check. If you have a business and you need a small website, please contact me. And it wasn't back end per se. It was simply front end. So I was just building simple front end for some persons. Before you know it, some persons sent me 1,000 naira, some 2,000 naira, some 7,000 naira, and so on. I was just getting small tips from those people I created free website for. And then what then happened was I then got a job to teach with NYSC. And because I'm a developer, I was now teaching them the part of website that you can use for digital marketing, like that. So, okay, that was for that job before I had an accident and then I lost that job. And then when I came back to Port Harcourt, I then got a job with a company in Canada. I was in Nigeria here. I was working for them in Canada. I was building websites, just front end, not back end now, front end for them in Canada. And they were not paying me in dollars. They are converting the money from dollar to naira and paying me in naira because they know Nigerians very well. So they are converting the money to naira and paying me. I think it was about 30 or 50,000 at that time? Whether 30 or 50,000. So they are paying me in naira, but it was for Canada. And before you know it, they included graphic design to my job description, which I didn't really like the idea. So after a while, I left them because the job became tedious. I was even working day and night, even at 2 a.m. Like, because that is their own day. I will be working the whole day while they will be sleeping. By the time I'm supposed to sleep in the night, they will be calling me on the phone when I am supposed to be sleeping at that time. That was my first experience. So I was looking for the fact that if I tell you I'm working, just know that I'm working. What they will now do is that they will put on Teams, that I should be on Teams, that Microsoft Teams, and be working while they are looking at it. That I should just keep it on. They want to be monitoring the number of hours I've been working. And I didn't like the idea. So apart from the stress and everything, I left the job. And then I moved on to work with a group of friends. We are getting job on Upwork and on Fiverr, and we are working on it. So I was the developer there, and this was still front end. I was the developer there, working with them and all of that. And I was working as a developer. We're getting job on Fiverr. We share the money, whether it's graphic design, whether it's content, whether it's web. We have somebody in our midst that will just work on that part. So we're doing it before until NSAS. A client that was supposed to give us a job, he was supposed to come to Nigeria from UK. And then when he got into UK, he was killed by SARS. And that was where we joined the whole NSAS movement, because our client died. And our job closed too. The team of friends, we closed. We were no longer working again. And I then decided to start working a freelancer. So that was when I then got another job remotely to work on full stack. Like, I was only working front end. I had no idea about back end. But after NSAS, I applied for a job and they gave me the job for full stack. I did not know back end and have never done back end. But I told myself, I have experience on the front end. What are they doing on the back end that I cannot do? So what I did was I built the front end. It was working. I was not giving the guys issue. I was giving them issues. As in, I was not telling them, okay, how can I do this? They don't know how to explain what to explain to me. Nobody was explaining anything. And I took it upon myself to start watching 1 or 2 YouTube videos. I watched 1 or 2 YouTube videos to try and understand what is going on, how to do it. It wasn't really entering my head. I was doing a lot of copy and pasting. I was doing so many things. On top of the job I have not completed, I got another job, full stack again. And nobody told me that, my brother, this time it is time to sit up. Otherwise, you will end in the police cell. So what I did was carry the money for the first project, the second project, all of it, and bought a good laptop. I was not sleeping. That was when I knew that I can stay like this from 4 a.m. to 4 a.m. I have not blinked. I mean, I didn't even know that, because I was indoors, and where I was staying, I had steady light, because I was connected to one MTN mask like that. So I had steady light. I was indoor from morning to morning, just eating food, because I was trying to avoid arrest or anything that will make them ask me to return the money, because I've already used the money. So I was indoor, studying and working, doing a lot of copy and pasting, so many things. My brother, until the first project, I did half it worked. Oh my God. And the funny part is that first project, they were paying me a milestone. So when the first part worked, I rushed for the next money, 50,000. They paid me the second phase, 50,000. That money now stabilized me a little. And because the front end was back end started working, I then used that money to fuel gen, got a lot of device, earpiece and data, and I sat down and I watched one complete videos, finished that one. I watched another complete video. I think I watched about 3 videos, and I decided not to do copy and paste again. I would try and attempt looking at this code, looking at this one, comparing them, and I was writing it like that. So that was how I started gradually writing until, and by this time I've already studied people's VS code, GitHub codes. So what I do was, if I want to build an endpoint that will do something, I will go and search for it on GitHub and copy the whole code and paste it. It will not be working. And it was tedious. So, but having 2 projects, I knew that there was no way I would give up, because one of the projects I've collected half of the money to buy a laptop, and the second one, they've paid me the second fee. So I know that there was no way to give up. But while I was working on backend, I began to realize that I love the backend more than the front end. So that was what drove me. So I love the backend more than the front end. So it was easy for me to learn it on my own. Listen, I learned the backend on my own without going to any class. We're just watching YouTube videos, reading people's code on GitHub. That was how I learned backend. And it was because I loved the backend. That was what I was able to do. So I started doing it. I was doing it like that until I got my next bigger project. And that by the time I got that bigger project, I think that was a project on Christ Embassy, and we had a top officials in the church, and I was on the team. So by that time, I was already a good full stack. So I was good in front end, and I built 2 projects full stack, and the third project was more like a go-to. So money didn't really come out of it because some persons were not interested in picking up the project. They are interested in collecting the project from us and using their own people to work on the project like that. So, but we did all we could do. We left the project halfway, and then we moved on. From there, I started moving on to other projects. But ladies and gentlemen, it was not easy. But what I did was, will I say I took chance, or will I say or die and I die? After the NSAS project, there was no need to hide under anybody anymore, because I was hiding with my friends. We were working together, or maybe I was going to teach. I would hide with my colleagues. No, I came out alone. I'm a full stack developer. Give me the job. That was what I came out for, and they gave me the job based on front end, not based on full stack. They gave me the job, and because I collected the job, I need to start learning. Started learning, and I was working on the job. So if I attended a class like yours, it would have been a starting point for me. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have even gone through all the YouTube videos, all the codes and everything I see. Sometimes you'll be watching the YouTube video. What they are doing in the video is what you are doing, but it's not working on your own. So it frustrated me to the point that I came to a point that I did not even trust YouTube videos again, because the YouTube videos, they're not doing it for you. They are doing it for views. That's what they're doing. A lot of them, and they will not give you the real thing. They just be giving you in bits, so that they will have more content on their platform like that. And they look as if they have more items. Actually, I want to even start one of those, but I don't have the time. Otherwise, I would have just started a channel, maybe on TikTok or maybe on YouTube. But it's not really like to teach you. It's mostly, and if I go back to some videos, I will see that they are still teaching the things that we're supposed to have passed this place. Why are you people still teaching this stuff? But some persons were telling me go to buy courses on Udemy, buy courses. I did not buy any course, even up to date. I've not taken any course like I bought it. They're just free courses, reading documentations, reading stuffs. Now, because I know how to look for the information. So I don't need to go and buy the courses to look for the information. As a matter of fact, I keep advancing my skills and stuff. But it's not like I cannot go and buy those courses, because if I buy them, I may not even study them. I may not. A lot of them are 30 hours. A lot of them are 50 hours. And you need, will I say you need motivation? Like you need serious motivation to be able to skip through. And by the time you are doing those kind of technical stuffs, long hours, you might even forget what you are doing because you are trying to cover up the longer hours. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was how I got my first job and then became full stack developer. And as it is now, even though I started with front end, I think I don't even like the front end anymore. I'm more of a back end person, even though I do both. But if you ask me, I'm specializing more on mobile and back end. And the reason is because we give newbies, a lot of newbies jump into the front end. So we give them that space to take the front end while we handle the other part. So I'm more of a mobile developer and a back end developer, like that. But I do front end too. But I started with front end too. And when I started with front end, I wasn't coding with my laptop. I was writing the code on my book. So I have a full website written on the book. That was when I was even with Bootstrap. I have it written on the book. All the pages on the website, all of them, I have it on the book. So which is why most persons that don't have laptop, they'll be like, oh, I don't have laptop, I cannot learn. You can't tell me that. That is how I started. I didn't have a laptop. I have the book, and the book is still in the house. All of them, where I wrote the codes from the beginning, they are still in the house. And if I look at them sometimes, I will begin to see where I made errors. It is now that I'll be seeing where I made errors because I was writing as fast as I can while the video is playing. So there are some places I missed errors, and I'll see the books. I recognize these are errors here, and so on. But I didn't get to write the codes with laptop. I was writing it on the book. But without even that, it didn't stop me, and I kept on going. When I got my first job, I wasn't even having a very good laptop. I was having this laptop that if you come on the charger, the laptop will off. That was the kind of laptop I had. So, but when I got the second project, I used the money of the second project to buy a new laptop. Like that, while I was still studying to even understand what I would do in the project, because I had no idea. But so far, that my first project, I'm still working on that project to date. As a matter of fact, the project will become bigger. We've gotten investment, we've gotten partners, and we've even gotten government partnership recently. But this is a project I started it when I knew absolutely nothing. But the client has no idea. In fact, the client is because the client today thinks that I am the best developer. As a matter of fact, he doesn't need anybody. We've had so many meetings where different partners are coming with their team of developers. They're coming with 4 developers, 5 developers, sometimes 6 developers. The last meeting we had 6 developers on the call, and I was the only one from his own company. Like, he doesn't need anybody else for him. He says David is doing well. But at that time, I'm not sure he knows that at that time I know nothing. Like, at the first time he met me, I'm not sure he. So when you start, you will feel like you know absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's good. It's good. That is where you start from. If there is no story to tell, then I'm not sure you started. Because if you start when you know everything, there's a developer I know. The guy claims, not just one, there's so many developers I know. They claim they know. They know too much. They know this, they know that. If you see them mentioning English here, mentioning grammars, calling names of things, asymmetric, symmetric, syntagration, so many things on the project, but give them the project to code it. They don't know how to code it. They will be just telling you what to do, but code it yourself. Sit down, write the codes. They cannot. So, but if you feel like you don't know, I think it's a good thing to feel like you don't know, because that will push you to learn more. But never be afraid of taking up a project because you are scared that you can't complete it. I took up 2 projects, full stack. when I know nothing about the backend. And in fact, the two projects I took, one of them I'm still working on it now. I'm working on both the front end and the back end and the mobile app together. We've gotten investment both abroad and government. The second, my second project, we are looking for funds. They're looking for about $15,000. That's what they're looking for funds, $15,000. And this project, a project I started when I knew absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, but there are other projects that I'm building now, and I don't even stress myself to build them because I see some developers come up with stuff, and I'll just laugh because you're wasting your time. Eh? Just go ahead and build the little you know. From that little you know, you continue with consistency. Before you know, to give yourself 1 year, you become a senior dev. Like a senior developer doesn't mean you've coded for 5 years or you've coded for 10 years. No, that's not what makes you a senior developer. A senior developer is you started when you knew absolutely nothing and you took up a project. When you took up that project then taught you what you know now. So that when you see other projects, you know how to handle them. When you see other people's projects, you know how to handle them. That's what makes you a senior developer. But if you think you want to wait until you know everything, and then you start building your project, before they call you a senior developer, it will be difficult because you've not really grounded yourself to know that's to know what it is. Now, what I mean is there are people who studied mechanical engineering in the university. There are people who study mechanic on the road, by the roadside. The people who studied in the university, they know everything in the car. They know every single thing. But somebody who learned it by the roadside, give him 6 months. He's already an oga that knows how to dismantle car engines and everything. And he can handle it on himself. And even the people who studied it in school will confidently bring car to him and leave that car and go. Because to them, he is a senior developer. Not a developer, a senior mechanic. But they don't know that this guy started from scratch, knew nothing, and then in 3 months or 6 months, finished serving his oga, and then did extra 1 year. In 1 year now, he's already a senior mechanic on his own, like that. Because he started from where he knew nothing, and he got hands-on. He started doing it. So it was the project that was actually teaching him what he knew, like that. So that's what makes you a senior developer, not the number of years. Some people will tell you they've been coding for 5, 10 years, 14 years. Ask them, how many errors have you solved? What kind of errors did you encounter? Now, as a senior developer, even before you make the error, you know that you're about to make an error because you started when you knew nothing and you have made those type of errors. You've made all of them. You've seen all those errors. So you don't need to actually, but there are people who start very well. They don't experience errors. They don't. So they don't really know certain, I know some senior developers up to now don't know how to resolve cause errors. When a jam cause error, they'll be blaming you, the backend, they will blaming you everywhere. But they don't know the simple importing cause is going to solve the cause error. And some don't know that when you see cause error, it's not because the developer did not specify cause. It's because you are spelling one route. You are spelling it very wrongly. You are spelling it wrongly. So they just don't know how to end that. So that's what makes you a senior developer, is experience. So with this few points of mine, I hope I didn't bore you with my experience, because experience doesn't end. You're also going to have your own experiences and you run with it. But that's all I have for you. Pick out the portfolio, just make a few adjustments to the portfolio, launch it, deploy it rather, and then you can apply it to any job. The funny thing is, as a developer, and especially as a back-end developer, nobody will be asking you for certifications. Bring this certificate, bring that certificate. Nobody's asking you for that. And as a back-end developer, another advantage is you have this privilege of not wanting to show anybody anything. Now, but if you're a front-end developer, they will ask you to show us your past work, show us this, show us that. But as a back-end developer, you can decide not to show. All you need to do is just come down to this section where you have a list of these things. List out so many things here that you can work with. List out. Yeah, sure. If you send me a message, of course, I always but just list out the things you've worked with, and then come down, list out little projects you've worked on. If anybody asks you to show anything, then the person doesn't know what the backend is. They will not ask you to show. Rather, they will ask you one or two questions. But if you put all of those things in your portfolio, they will not know what to ask you again. So that is on one side, front-end, back-end developers. You're not ready to show anything. You don't have to prove anything. As a matter of fact, when you don't have to prove it, that is when they actually give you the job. Than when you try to prove it. So, and one policy I have is, even though I'm a senior developer, I don't charge much. I charge something moderate. And once I tell you the charge, I do not come down from that price for any reason. Because I know that the first time I built a full stack project, I went to all my social media and I said, you see all these people that are posting on Twitter and they are influencers and everything. If you build one full stack project, my brother, you will not want to build it again. Even if the person said the money is on ground, you will not want to build it again. You will not. Because your head, your body, you need to stay for some weeks without doing anything to get yourself back. That was when I knew that. You see all these influencers posting stuff. A lot of them has not actually sat down to write on codes for 3 months. If you sit down every day, you are writing codes for 3 months. My brother, when you come to Twitter, you will not even be arguing, should I be writing Java or should I be writing JavaScript? Dear developers, should they use async await or should they not use async await? You see all those questions that they're asking, all those small questions just to get attention. If you have written codes, you will not have time for all those things again, my brother, because it's not easy. And especially if you have a lot of APIs to write. Oh my God. You will know that Tinker, how did they say it? Tinker is not bucket. Bucket is not Tinker, something like that. But this is not to scare you. As a matter of fact, it's to encourage you. I took 2 jobs even when I knew nothing about them. And to date, I'm still working on those 2 projects. As a matter of fact, my first project, we got a new partner. While we are getting the partner joined us to pursue another partner. In that meeting, the man credited me, like, I dash you this money, like dash. So he's dashing me money now because he thinks I'm doing well. But if you had told him that when I started this, and they don't know too, they don't know. And I don't think I will ever tell them. Because if you had told them that when I started your project, I didn't know anything. My brother, but you don't have to. So even if you don't know, you will not tell anybody that you don't know. Even if you don't know, that is the secret on the back end. Even if you don't know it, you will not tell anybody that you don't know, including yourself. I don't mean you tell them, including yourself. You will not admit to yourself that you don't know it. You know it. Bring it. Just give me. I'm going to deliver it. So even if you don't know it, you don't tell anybody that you don't know it. You know it. So long as people are doing it, you can do it. So there's not, and especially the back end. The back end is easier, is very easier compared to the front end. But just that the back end, you have to do a lot of thinking, real life thinking, analytical thinking. But on the front end, you are doing abstract thinking, how this will move up and down, the colors of this, adjustments, flexing and all of that. But the real logic is on the back end. So that's why you do the real thinking. So, ladies and gentlemen, we still have time. We started this class by 3. We're almost spending 2 hours. Okay. All right. So, do we have any question, or can we call it a day here now? And I was hoping we were going to have a closing. There should be a closing party for us. I don't know. Maybe there will be one variety night. There will be a closing session. But finish your project. We are not done. When you finish your project, you have incubation program where you have to work with front-end developers and UI designers. So at that phase, you see how the 3 of them work together on the incubation. So you have to finish your project to be able to get into that incubation program. And I will still be in the incubation program. Maybe I'll be in one team, or maybe I'll be in all of the team. I don't know. It depends on how it comes. All right. Any question before we call it a day? Any question before we call it a day? If there is no question, please, you can drop a thumbs up so that we can actually end today's class. If there's no question, you can drop a thumbs up so that we end the class. And we have 12 persons here, that is including me. So we have actually 11 persons. That's okay. I want to believe network is actually affecting others. Nobody wants to drop thumbs up because nobody wants to say I'm the one that ended the class. Please drop a thumbs up. All right. Thank you, guys. The deadline for submission is Friday next week. That's the deadline for the final submission of your project, Friday next week. But the deadline for submission of phase 2 is tomorrow morning. So there are 2 deadlines now. The deadline for submission of phase 2 is tomorrow morning. The deadline for the final project is next week, Friday. All right, bye. Bye. Au revoir.